Welcome to Crypt Walkers, the podcast where the eerie and enigmatic come to life. Hosted by Ryder, a police officer and paranormal investigator with a lens for the unexplained. Open the crypt. Come take a walk with us.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another case episode of Crypt Walkers. I'm your host Ryder, and you're listening to part 2 of this case. In part 1 of our investigation, we mapped out the bloody history of June 10th, 1912, walking the floorboards of the Villisca, Iowa axe murders and unpacking the brutal, unsolved slaughter of the Moore family and the Stillinger children. We also barely touched the surface of the haunting that followed. But tonight, for part 2, we are diving much deeper and learning what it is like to actually investigate the house in Villisca. So I'm bringing in a phenomenal researcher, a veteran investigator, and one of the brilliant minds behind hometown ghost stories, Rob Coakley. Welcome to the show. How are you this evening?
Thanks so much for having me, and that is a very great intro you gave for me. I don't know if I would call myself a veteran, but we have been doing this for a long time.
Yeah. I'm very excited to have you on the show. 2, we're recording this, May 20-something, right? Mm-hmm. This part airs on June 10th.
Oh, wow.
2026, and I did not, for all my research, I did not mean for that to happen. It just happened. So, guys, if you are listening to this, this is literally the 114th episode, 114th anniversary of the murders. So
that's wild. It's the universe delivers sometimes.
Yeah, that's a little weird because I didn't know I was going to have a part 2. I knew I was going to have a part 1, which was going to air, which would have been last week, June 3rd. So, but anyway, so I recently had Dave Wilkins, your other co-host, on the show.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you're well, he kind of threw you under the bus, too. He was like, I even left it in there. He was like, they were talking about Villisca. We were talking about Villisca, and he's like, yeah, you should talk to Rob. He had quite a few experiences at Villisca, and he's like, yeah, he'll be on the show. But, if you guys listen to that other episode, the Houghton Mansion Part 2, you'll know what I'm talking about. But anyway, again, speaking of shows and the cross stuff, it was really great to hear you guys give us a shout out. I'm kind of a relatively new show at this point, and hearing Crypt Walkers being broadcasted across the air of another show was great. So I appreciate that.
No problem, man. Glad we could help you out.
Yeah. So, guys, I just want to let you know what we'll be referencing from today. For this particular episode, you need to check out Hometown Ghost Stories, and I left a link inside the show notes on this last episode posting and this one that basically you can click, you can view the video investigation that they did on Villisca, which is what we're going to reference. So just bear in mind. Rob, we may have to say certain things out loud. We might have to be descriptive just because, I don't have a visual side yet. We're just audio only. So
right.
Okay. All right. So you've investigated some really cool locations, and you've explored them on your show. But without really diving too deep, where does the Villisca Axe Murder House rank for you guys?
So it's tough to rank them because, each place you go to, some places you go to are these big places that maybe don't live up to the hype, and then there's other places that you go to, you're like, man, this is the scariest place I've ever been. Villisca is a little different for me because Villisca is something that even before we started doing paranormal investigations and doing the show, I was always fascinated by the case itself before even diving into the paranormal aspect. So this was always a bucket list location for me to go investigate. I always wanted to see the house. I had researched it for years and years and years, found it a fascinating case. So just going there was very surreal for me. I mean, like that trip was insane. You can talk to Dave about the Sally House. We did the Sally House. We did Villisca, and we did Malvern Manor in, the course of 3 nights. But as cool as the Sally House was, as great as that investigation was, before going, the place I was looking forward to the most was Villisca.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that something you just heard about like when you were a kid, and that's one of the first things that interest you, or?
I don't know when I first heard about it, but I know it's like one of those cases like that always drew me back. And anytime something would come out on it, I'd be like, oh, let me see if there's anything new on this. And then we started the show, and the Sally House and Villisca are very special to us because those were sort of the first 2 shows that kind of like got us to blow up a little bit when we were covering those places. And shout out to Chris Jericho. Those were the first 2 shows we did with him as well. So like there's a special place in our heart. So like going to those places was very important for us. And man, did they both deliver. It was freaking insanely scary at both of these places. But Villisca, there's so much to talk about with the case, with our investigation, with the town itself. It's a wild, wild place. It's just very different from what we do here in New England in terms of like a town. So it was very cool.
Really? I never thought of that, but yeah, the Midwest kind of has a different vibe as far as just general layout too.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of, I know Atchison is it's a big small town, but Villisca on the other hand, that must have seemed like like you blink and it's gone type.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very small town.
Yeah, so like where we're from in Massachusetts, this part, like we're south of Boston. You leave one town, you're immediately in the other. You don't even realize that you're crossing through towns, right? Well, Iowa is very different, where a lot of their towns are just like this postage stamp in the middle of like cornfields or whatever it is they grow in Iowa. And then Villisca is like 1,000 people live there in total. So like you're 20 minutes until you come up to this town. There's one gas station, and I think there was a Dollar General there. There's nothing else really. And you pull in, and it's not a bad looking town. It looks really cool, but it is very small and just very different for us. But I love that stuff. I love going to see places that aren't like where we live.
Wow. But that's one of the benefits of doing what we do, is going out and exploring these, not just different locations, but also the towns that surround them. Hence your hometown ghost stories name. So,
yeah, and if you wear a shirt with a ghost on it, everyone will come talk to you because they see the camera, and everyone will tell you their ghost story, which is always very cool to hear that from the locals as well. Yeah.
Now, did the town strike you as the type of town that would have had such a tragic event?
It's hard to say that because like you just don't know. Like it's not always the product of a town, right? It could just be the product of just this random person that we can't explain why they do what they do. So I will say the town felt a little eerie because it felt a bit abandoned, which I'm guessing it didn't feel like that in 1912. It might have been smaller at the time, but just from what I've read, it feels like it might have felt a little more lived in at that point in time. Right, like the downtown area of Villisca, a lot of the shops are closed. Like you go down to that little area where there's, a string of shops, nothing's open. And I'm guessing in 1912, when the town was like still starting up and stuff, all of those shops were lived in, and you went to those shops, and the town operated sort of like within itself. Yeah. So I would say during that time, it probably, they were leaving their front doors open for the most part at that time. So I would say no.
Even Josiah Moore actually had a few businesses. If I remember correctly, he ran a few businesses out of Villisca. Mm-hmm. I'm from the Midwest, so I'm kind of used to it. There's many towns that I grew up driving through and exploring as a teenager that they're like that, where they're just basically half ghost town, but they're still around.
Right.
I have a friend who actually graduated from school, high school, and when he did, he was in a class of like 26 people.
Oh, wow.
And it was the biggest class in like the last 50 years. So
Wow.
it can be interesting. But anyway, well, so, this particular crime, this particular location, this particular home, a lot of active places have dark history, but this one in particular, it really punches you. So, with the deaths of 6 children, the Moore kids, as well as the Stillinger sisters, does that specific element, that violence and that overall theft of innocence, do you think that kind of changed the flavor or intensity of the home or the energy while you were there?
Yeah, for sure. Because, how many houses are you going to go to that particular situation's happened in? Not many. And on top of it, when you go to Villisca, it is this corner house, like in the middle of this small town. And the house, for the most part, looks like it did in 1912. There's no electricity in this house. And they have a little barn area outside still that you can go into. That's kind of where you set up your home base. But when you go into the actual house, it is set up like it was in 1912. And it's heavy, man. You walk in there because you know what happened. But you also get so shocked by how small this house is. And that answered a lot of questions for me, because I think we've all probably seen pictures of the Villisca house, and you've seen the bedrooms, and you've seen, the children's room. But until you're actually there, you don't understand, because my question was always, how did he do what he did upstairs without anybody waking up?
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know if you can track it in our video, but if you were next to the bed in the master bedroom, it would only be 4 steps basically to get to all of the beds in the children's room. That's how small the house is. There's no hallway between the 2 rooms. It's just a little passageway, right? So
really,
this house, it's 2 floors, but it's a very small 2 floors.
So it's like how do I say it? A floor and a half, essentially. So I'm guessing the ceilings, they kind of have those pitches.
Yep.
Where the wall only goes up about halfway up the wall, and then it actually pitches back. So you're basically in the roof.
Right.
Exactly.
Point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely be posting some pictures in our social media feeds. That way you guys can actually kind of get an idea of what we're talking about. Also, again, if you guys check out Hometown Ghost Stories, that won't be a problem because you can actually see it. I watched the video myself, and one of the things that I found awesome is that some guys from the Northeast got to experience a classic summertime, springtime thunderstorm.
Yeah.
For the Midwest. That is like an everyday occurrence. We're so used to it,
Yep.
Did you guys have any tornado warnings or anything when you guys were there?
Yeah. So when we were at the Sally house, there was a tornado warning. We actually thought that was the scream coming through. We were trying to debunk the scream and the thing that you and Dave talked about on the spirit box. And we were like, was that a tornado warning? Because I know we have tornado warnings, but we were able to debunk that. So it reminded me a little bit, not completely. Although I'm from Massachusetts, I was born here. I grew up in Mississippi. And we used to get storms like that as well when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. But it gave us a hell of a visual. If you watch the show, there's a great shot of Jesse walking into the Villisca house as the thunder and lightning just start going off as he's closing the door. And I was like, you couldn't ask for anything better than that.
I mean, yeah. And I mean, if you take all the parts of being in a potentially haunted house aside, with equipment and stuff and being big time paranormal investigators and things, there's a little something eerie about going into a potentially haunted location with literally no ability to turn on any lights.
Yeah.
And a raging lightning storm is happening outside, Right.
Yeah, there's no lights there. I went back and just kind of looked over our investigation before I did this show. And one of the things that actually stood out to me that you bring this up is when Dave's in the quote unquote attic, we'll talk about in a little bit, out that window, you can just see the trees like going crazy out the window. And I was like, man, I forgot how bad the weather was that night. And when we were doing solos, the other two were just in the barn. So like that barn area, you're just hearing it. It wasn't always rain, but it was thunder and lightning. It was creepy. And there are no lights. Like we said, there's no electricity in there. The only thing they have is they have these air conditioners for the building that are like built into the wall, but those power cords run outside to a little telephone pole back there that has an electrical outlet at it. So there's no electricity in the house at all.
Wow. Guys, just to kind of paint a picture, by air conditioning units, we're not talking like big industrial things. We're literally like they went down to Home Depot, picked up some window units and cut a hole in the wall and put it in there. That's basically what it is.
Basically,
so, yeah, and you see that in the video. But I also would think that, having all this, I don't know the exact scientific word, but ionization, all this electricity that was in the air that was constantly being, sent from positive to negative over and over and over and over and over again. I wonder if, and we're going to be talking more about the activity in a minute, I wonder if that added to you guys capturing as much as you did.
Yeah. I mean, definitely something that I will probably document going forward because you can't predict. So like we haven't announced this, but this is fine. We're doing our next paranormal investigation at a old fort that was around during like the Revolutionary War in New York, which is really cool. I'm excited to do that, but you can't predict the weather. That's a month away for us. And are we going to get electricity? Are we going to get lightning? Are we going to get thunder? It's an open air space. There are rooms, but if we get it there, I'll definitely document what we capture during that.
Okay. Now, when you guys investigate, do you guys have somebody who's like the dedicated note taker?
Not really, because everything that we do is filmed, right? So when you say note taker, do you mean on things that happened that night, or are you talking about like to prepare for the location? I guess is what I would ask.
Well, actually, a little bit of both. So the teams that I've worked with, obviously we weren't filming everything all the time because we weren't trying to make content.
Right.
But we would have somebody, the note taker. I call them the note taker. Basically, they're the manager. They would write down things like that, where it's like, hey, we started the investigation at this time, and we had, what was the weather like when we started? Because, there are some paranormal theories that play into that, as that might be a part of a causation, that it might have some relevance. And so keeping track of that data or whatnot. Basically what I'm getting at is how detailed do you guys go, or is it basically what you guys see is what you see on the show?
Yeah, it's kind of what you see is what you see, because we are filming like pretty much everything from the start of when we start an investigation till the end. And I know Dave said this earlier on your show, but like it is a highlight reel. Like we're cutting up hours and hours of footage from that. So we just we remember what the weather was, right? Like we remember that the Villisca house had that crazy snowstorm. We remember when we went to Hartstuff Hall in our backyard, which we haven't aired that investigation ever, but it was 95 degrees and we were sweating the entire time, right? So like it's just like there's a memory there, but we can also see it and be like, oh man, remember when we were so cold or so hot in this place? So but that's the gift and the curse of recording everything. Is there's so much extra work to do while you're recording, like in the sense that we record, that I don't want to say we lose that, but it's just there and documented video rather than written. Right.
Which is a good thing. I would assume. There is a, like some paranormal teams, they like to be very detail oriented. And sometimes, God help them, they're not, and they're not even filming anything. And it's just they're running around with a an EVP recorder, and it's like, okay, well, how many people were in the room when you recorded,
Right.
At that time? Can you go back and reflect on that? But anyway, I digress. You got to understand, there's a reason why I'm a law enforcement officer. I like to be detailed, and I like to, heck, even the people I work with look at my reports and go, Ryder, you need to bring it back a little bit. It's a little bit too detailed. But anyway, so basically you guys show up, it's thundering, lightning, basically the perfect atmospheric conditions for a paranormal investigation. Walk us kind of through what happened after that. Like, what did you guys, did you guys do a walkthrough? How did it all work out?
Yeah, so if you want me to be completely transparent and tell you our process, usually when we go to locations, we always pay for our locations, first of all, because we believe that you should be paying for the restoration of these properties. You shouldn't be trying to go to places for free. But the one thing that we do try to do is we'll talk to the owner or to the caretaker and see if we can get in a little early, just so that we can get stock footage of the place and film a couple other things that we need to film. Like, for instance, Villisca, we had to film an opening ghost story. If you're familiar with our show, we do sort of either fictionalized or a fact-based opening ghost story, just to sort of set the mood before we tell you what actually happened there. So we filmed that for starters, and we did all this during the daytime, and then we'll usually go grab dinner and then come back to the place and get ready for the actual investigation. So we knew the weather was getting bad all day, right? Like, we could see it coming, and we were like, oh man, tonight's going to be crazy. And yeah, so that's what we did. And we went there. Once we got back, we set up in the barn. We lay out all our equipment. We do a quick walkthrough. We decide, we try to do solo investigations at every location and a group investigation. That's sort of what we do. And then we'll end the night with another group investigation based on how the night went. We never know where that's going to be. Where did we get the most activity? In the Sally house, it was the children's room. In Villisca, we did something completely different than we ever did, but we're just sort of feeling it out as we go through the night and see what kind of activity we're getting.
Okay. So you guys started out, from the video, from what I remember, you guys started in
the Stillinger girls' room.
The Stillinger girls' room. Okay, so that's downstairs, right?
Correct. That's downstairs. It's right next to the living room.
Okay. Now, there is if I remember correctly from my notes, there is a particular closet in that room.
Yeah.
That is said to, let's just say, cause people to do things.
Yeah.
In 2016, if I got my notes right, there was a incident where a man, if I remember correctly, he was standing in the closet, an investigator, and at like 12:45 in the morning, which was, of course, the time of the murders, he felt called or possessed or whatever you want to call it, and he stabbed himself in the heart. Mm-hmm. Was he not? He was airlifted, right?
Close to the heart, I think. I think he just missed. Yeah, and he ended up having to get airlifted out of there, I believe, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I think that was the main incident that people know of. And
he blamed
one other. Yeah.
He blamed the spirit.
Yep.
The spirit part of it. So I've also heard that they theorized that the killer there's 3 locations that the killer has been theorized to have been. Either, and what I mean been as far as like hiding, that he was out in the barn, mm-hmm. and that he came into the house.
Yep.
Or that he was already in the house for the other 2 versions. Either he was in that closet, or he was upstairs in the attic area.
Mm-hmm.
But what other element are you pointing towards?
There was another incident with somebody that they also stabbed themselves. I don't think it was as severe, and I don't think it's as documented, but I think, if I remember correctly, the caretaker told us about it.
Really?
Yeah. So
Was it involving the closet as well?
I don't remember if he said it specifically was that room, but I believe so.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. You see, you learn something every day, folks. And this is why you have guests on the show, because they teach you things.
But it
I did
also
not know
shows you
that.
to always talk to the people that run the location and work in a location, because they know stuff that other people just do not know. I just went out to St. Charles, Illinois, and I was in a location that I'm going to be covering in a couple weeks, and I did all my research before I went there. But talking to the staff, I got so much more that I can talk about now on the show. So, like, if you're ever investigating a place, make sure if there's somebody there to talk to you, just, they'll be glad generally to talk to you and find stuff out there.
They always have stories,
Yep.
As I say in the Listener Files episode, guys, everybody has a story.
Everybody does.
Well, okay, so you guys started in the same room with the closet. So what type of stuff did you get surrounding that?
So when we were in there for that first investigation, it was the three of us, and we were getting a lot of REM pod activity while we were in there, which is, I'm going to be honest, we have the REM pod. We set it up a lot. We don't usually get a ton of activity on our REM pod. It's been a very few locations that we've actually ever gotten anything. So we started off with the REM pod in there, and we had I think we had our music box in there as well, but I don't think that went off at all while we were in there. But the REM pod was actually answering questions, it felt like, as we were asking them as a group. But there was also this feeling, and one of the answers we got was when we were asking about the closet, the REM pod would start going nuts. We were like, oh no, like there's something in that closet. And I did not like being in that room at all. So, but that was the beginning of the investigation, was getting a lot of REM pod activity in there. And we tried doing stuff because we thought we were communicating with one of the Stillinger girls, and we would try to read her a story or whatever, because they have some like children's books in there. So
I was just about to mention.
Yeah.
Is it Doth Blow or Douth Blow?
Just remember, I'm the smart one. That's all.
Well, at one point, I think the REM pod even responded to a comment. I believe it was Jesse who made it. It was either Jesse or Dave. I get them confused. Jesse had made a comment of like, would you have preferred if someone more literate had actually read it? And literally it went off as if answering yes.
Yeah. We've had that a few times where like we're just asking a joke question, not expecting a response. We did this in Hearts of Fall. Dave asked this particular question. He was like, were you a child when you were alive? And I kind of like side-eyed him, like everyone was a child at one point when they were alive. What are you asking? And we said something like, are you upset that Dave asked a weird question? And that was when the music box actually went off. And we were like, it's so weird. Like, spirits like to joke too, man. Like they like to have fun as well. So just remember that not everything has to be completely serious when you're investigating.
Exactly. Now, for those of you who are listening and are new to paranormal investigating, you may not know some of the devices that we just mentioned. Again, in the video, you'll see it being used. But a REM pod is essentially it's a circular device about the size of I don't know what you'd say, like an Amazon Alexa, like one of those little devices. Yeah.
That's a good size comparison.
Yeah, and it's got some lights on it that light up at different frequency wavelengths, as well as there's an antenna that is producing an EMF field. If you interact with that antenna, it goes off, and it makes a audible alarm as well as audible tone, as well as the actual LED lights will light up. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because you've used it more than I have, but if you approach that, like, you have to be right on it, first of all, and you disrupt that field, the amount of lights that light up shows you the strength of the interference, correct?
Sometimes, yes, but also it's directional.
Directional.
So if you approach it from, like, the left side, the lights on the left side will light up. So not only is it telling you, like, there's something in the area, it's sort of pointing out the area that activity is happening in as well.
Okay. And it's shown in the video, but I think there's a part where Jesse's filming with the camera, with the phone, and it goes off, but he's far away from it. And it shows, you guys actually go back and you debunk it as not being him, because you have to we're talking you have to get within maybe 6-7 inches from the device, and he was halfway across the room. But
he was approaching it, so that's why like for us, it's important that if we can call something out that's not us doing it, I think it's very important to debunk whatever you can. So as he was sort of walking towards it and it went off, it startled him. He jumped back, but he was like, okay, now I got to make sure that wasn't me. And he showed how close he had to be in order to debunk that.
And that's a really good way to investigate, that doesn't, and it also leads to your credibility, over time, because people can be like, well, see, these guys they're not running around just to, make Blair Witch style, movies or something, like they're legitimately investigating.
You'll hear us shout out like during an episode, like that's me, because we know that we're the ones that are setting off any of the devices that are being used at that particular time. That way, when we go back and review the footage, if we hear ourselves say that's me, we know that we were the ones who did it. Right.
Now the other device, it's only been around for what, maybe since 2020. I don't think it's been around much longer than that, but it's the freakiest, stupid device ever, but it's usually pretty good. It's called a music box, and whoever builds these things put them in like this little coffin type thing.
Yeah,
and it's a typical music box, right? With all the fixins that any music box would have, but it has a motion detector on it. Correct?
That's all it is. It's just a motion. It's a fancy motion detector, but it is the scariest motion detector that you will ever hear in your life.
Yeah. If you walk in front of the beam, or if a spirit is interrupting the beam, it will go off and it'll start playing the creepiest music possible until that beam is reestablished.
Right.
So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a scary device, man. Like if you're doing a solo investigation and you forget that you have the music box in there or set up somewhere and you cross that threshold and you hear it go off, or if you don't cross the threshold, which is even scarier, and that thing starts to go off, you're like, oh no, what is in here with me?
Yeah. So I've gotten comments in the past where some people are like, hey, it's really great content, but I'm not familiar with some of the things that, I was talking about stone tape theory, and I just rambled on, about stone tape theory, and it occurred to me later on after I had already posted the episode that nobody knows. If you're new to this, you might not know what that means. So
if you will listen to our show, you do, because Dave didn't shut up about the stone tape theory for probably our first 30 episodes or so.
Really? Everything's a stone tape. Yeah. But anyway, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. So you were getting activity from the REM pod. Okay. Yeah. I'm guessing you guys were also using a spirit box that basically scans through a bunch of radio frequencies when you guys...
So I used the spirit box on my solo when I went back into the Stillinger Girl room for my solo investigation. Yeah. So we were not going to do a solo in that particular room. That wasn't part of the plan. But because we were getting activity on the REM pod, we felt as though somebody should do the solo. And when I say somebody, I was thinking not me. I didn't want to be the one to do the solo in there. And we'll play rock, paper, scissors to see who goes into certain rooms. And I unfortunately lost that game of rock, paper, scissors.
Yep. I think you had rock to paper. Yeah.
God.
So
no good. No bueno.
You're never too old to rock, paper, scissors, guys.
That's
Sometimes that's the only way to figure out an argument. Who won, who lost, that type of thing. Okay, so the rest of the activity that happened while you guys were a group, though, was it mostly that interaction with the REM pod? And I can't remember, did you have anything with the spirit box, with the music box at that time?
I don't think the music box went off at all from my memory, but we got a lot of interaction with the REM pod, and it really pointed out, like when we talked about the closet, it was going off. And that's why when we were like, we got to do a solo in here, we were like, whoever does it is going to have to stand in that closet to do their solo investigation, because the REM pod was very adamant about something being in the
Right.
closet. So
Right.
that's unfortunately what happened.
Yeah. And another cool thing about the fact that it was the REM pod specifically, and what a lot of debunkers, a lot of skeptics might say is, oh, well, you're just getting electrical interference, through, the wall outlets and things.
Mm-hmm.
This was a house, guys, that we need to remind you that had no electrical power.
Right.
Like, at all. And the only spot that did, that device was across the room.
Right.
So, by what, 10, 12 feet?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Something like that.
So, important thing to point out. One of the fascinating things about the paranormal community is everyone has a story. Listener files are officially back here on Crypt Walkers, and I want to tell your story. If you've had a brush with the unexplained, seen something that defies rationale, or experienced something spooky, email me at contact@cryptwalkers.net. Just make sure to put listener file in the subject line, and let me know how you want to be credited, whether it's your real name, a pseudonym, or if you prefer to remain completely anonymous. I don't know, man. It's your story. I'm just here to tell it. Now, back to the show. So you get selected. You unfortunately had to do. And so you had to go and stand in a closet.
Yep.
Tell me what that experience was like.
It was nerve-wracking. I did not enjoy it. I did not want to be in that closet. What I will say is the thing I remember most about that particular investigation is about halfway through I started feeling like sick. And I don't know how to describe it more than like my body just felt sick at that time. And that lasted until I think I did mine first. I think I did my solo first. It's tough to say because when we do our solos, we cut it up amongst the three of them in the episode. So that way you're watching all three sort of, not as they happen, but like just sort of letting you jump around and see everybody's. But I think I investigated first, and I just remember feeling sick like halfway through. Whoever did their solo investigated second, and I was just sitting in that barn at our little command center, like trying to feel better after I was done with it. But that's when I was using the spirit box. I think it was that, and I had a couple motion detectors set up on the bureau that was close to it as well.
Okay. So you said you were having like a physical reaction to it. Mm-hmm. Do you normally have, I guess, how do I say this? Some people sometimes they interact differently with haunted locations. Not saying that you mediumship or anything like that.
Right.
But that, more sensitive.
Yeah.
Would you say that you're more sensitive sometimes, or?
I think it's so tough for me to say that because I never want to, I don't know, come across as like, weird, I guess. But what I will say is we've gone to several locations, and I'll give you an example. We went to the Oliver House in Middleborough, Massachusetts. That was one of our first investigations when we started the show that we're doing now. And we walked in there, and as I walked around the house, I walked into a particular room, and I got this really weird feeling while I was in that room. And I pointed it out to our guide. I was like, something's different about this room. She goes, oh. And like she lit up and she told us what happened in that particular room. And that's happened at multiple locations that we've gone to now. Where like I go into a room and I'm like, something's here. And usually either we'll get a lot of activity in that room that night, or the caretaker will tell us something that like nobody knew about that room or whatever. So the only location that's ever felt that, the entire location though, is the Hinsdale house.
Really?
Outside the house, inside the house, it didn't matter. I felt like that throughout the entire property. But most locations, it's usually a room or two that I feel something like that. Okay. Now, you also did a spirit box session there, right? Yeah, I was doing a
Yeah.
spirit box session while I was standing in that closet and got some pretty crazy responses on that particular one.
Okay. I know it's been a while, so you might not be able to recall the responses, but let's just say they were pretty intense. And not only that, so to put it in perspective, guys who don't know what a spirit box is, it's basically a device that scans through a bunch of radio frequencies. I think it's up to like 12 frequencies a second, depending on which device. Some of them are more complicated, some of them are less complicated. Were you guys using the 11 or the 7?
The 7.
The 7. Okay, so the 7 was very basic, and honestly, I prefer it over the 11.
Same.
But anyway, so it cycles through really fast, and sometimes you will hear actual like radio stations bleeding through. But what you're really looking for is the elements that are within noise. So, you know, if I hear Ryder come through the spirit box, that Ryder could be over a multitude of frequencies. So it's illogical to think that all of those radio stations just happen to say Ryder at the exact same time. Okay.
Yep.
So another thing that was very interesting about your particular session was that, and I don't know if you got this, but it seemed like it was the same voice.
Yep.
That it didn't really change. And it was answering fairly consistent.
Yeah.
You guys will have to watch the video to see exactly what was asked, but I remember there was a part where I think you had asked specifically about the murders. And the voice literally said, plead the fifth.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. Because if I was a killer and, you know, I was going to get captured, I would probably say the same thing. So,
Right.
I don't want to incriminate myself or whatever. So, did you happen to, whether on camera or off camera, did you happen to get any real connections that you believe could be the family, or mostly the killer? Because a lot of people think it's the killer.
So when I was because I only investigated, because I was in both investigations for the Stillinger girl room, right? And then my only other investigation in the Villisca house was in the living room, which is right next to the Stillinger room. I believe that we were communicating with one of the Stillinger girls early during the group investigation. I truly believe that. Like, if of all things, just from the interactions. Now, could it be something else that was messing with us? Sure, but like it really didn't feel dark in the beginning. So I think we were talking to one of the girls in that room. That's my personal thought on it. As far as the Moore family, I think if anyone was communicating with the Moore family at all that night, it was Jesse.
Okay. And I'm still torn as my own personal beliefs on whether or not, you know, are we necessarily communicating with folks who were unfortunately murdered, or are we talking with something else? Was something else brought into that house because of those acts? You know what I mean? No pun intended.
Or was
know
it
that
already
sounded
there?
like I said acts, but it's actually acts. Anyway. But you know what I mean? Like maybe a doorway was open, so to speak.
Sure.
You know, I'm jumping far right field here, okay? But I don't know. The overall energy of that house, from what I've read online, is some people say it's dark, and some people say that it's very, you know, light. And some people also say it is what you make of it.
Sure.
So if you go in there, Zach Baggins, you know, you're going to get a Zach Baggins response. If you go in there nice, like, and respectful, which I think you guys did, you guys got a totally different set of activity. So, so you were there. Did you get to investigate the other location, the other rooms, or?
No. I mean, again, because we're filming and setting things up and everything, and we're doing these solo investigations, it's just the time that takes to do that we were only able to, I mean, we did 5 investigations in that place. Like it sounds like we didn't do a lot, but like if you think about it, we did a group investigation in the Stillinger girls' room. We did a group in the living room, and then I did the solo in the Stillinger girls' room. Dave did the attic, and Jesse did the master bedroom, but his bled into the kids' room because as he was trying to investigate the master bedroom, he was getting pulled to the kids' room. And so he ended up just being like, and you got to do this sometimes. Like you go in with a plan, right, to investigate a place, but they don't know your plan, and they sort of set the rules, right? So like if they're pulling you somewhere, you got to pivot. So it was great on Jesse's part to pivot there and move most of his stuff because he got some really cool responses in the kids' room.
Yeah, in particular the flashlight evidence.
Right.
Where he did I call it the flashlight experiment. I think there's a different name for it. Mm-hmm. It's old school paranormal investigating. You take a mag light, twist it to just where it's about to turn on, and you let it sit there. I'm very skeptical of that, though, because I have talked with people who know a little bit more about electronics, and they have told me that depending on heat cycles or whatever, it can expand, contract, jump current, whatever. But what I did find interesting, and the only time that I really ever see the flashlight experiment as a credible source, is when you get something else that coincides with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For example, when the light went off in Dave was in the kids' room, or was it Jesse? Jesse. When Jesse was in the kids' room, when that light went off, he also got activity from, I believe it was the REM pod, and it was instantaneous.
Yeah.
And both those devices were quiet and were completely untouched the whole time.
Yeah.
Until that light came on. Right. So you also get to see Jesse panicking not to panic, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And I'm like, happens to the best of us, man. I'll be honest with you. If I was in a house that was where I knew that occurred, I mean, even nothing paranormal happened, me just being in a dark house, it would just freak me out,
Well, me and Jesse are more of the two that will panic. Dave is usually more the strong one there. But we all have our moments, because the only time I've ever seen him like visibly shaken was at the Sally house. So it happens to the best of us, man.
Yep. Yeah, to talk on his session, it's funny because I don't trust flashlights, but I trust dowsing rods. Mm-hmm. You would think that would be the exact opposite, you know. Dowsing rods, for those of you who don't know, they're basically these copper, what do you want to call them? Copper wire, heavy copper wire. Yeah. They're bent into an L shape. Mm-hmm. And on one end, that L ends in a handle that basically it just rotates in. It's free spinning, if that makes sense. The belief was that, it'll take you to water or something like that way back in the day. For paranormal investigating, because you have these two conductive metals that are just out into the air, it's believed that spirits can either cross them, make them go left, make them go right. And all you got to do is just hold them straight out in front of you, okay? Kind of tucked into your chest, but you just hold them straight out. And they will naturally parallel themselves, and then, per questions or whatnot, it moves. A lot of people, skeptics, believe that, you are moving the device, like with your thumbs or something. And you could see very clearly in the camera that, A, Dave does not do this. And B,
know what
anytime
to look for, when people are doing that.
Yeah, because you'll see their thumb will move to the top, right? You have to keep your thumbs to the side, and you see both his thumbs there. Now, I used dowsing rods a lot on the RMS Queen Mary. That was my base of operations when I lived out in LA. I was always on that ship doing ghost hunts. And Now it is a ship that's on water. So you would think the skeptic would be like, well, isn't it supposed to cross? No, it was fine. However, I have never seen such clear answers, and because I was watching very closely to Dave's hands, because I'm like, is he faking this? First of all, I've talked to Dave, and he does come across as a guy who's skeptical to begin with. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, he's already credible in that regard. But so I'm watching this, and like you can see him angle his hands down to get it to reset back to center, and then he's holding them perfectly steady. He's not moving his hands. He's not shaking his hands. And this thing, whatever he's talking to, by the way, which I don't think was nice, was moving per the questions, you know. Heck, I even think one of the questions was, "Are you good?" or something along those lines, and it was like, no. So go back, watch the video, guys. You'll know what I'm talking about. It was very, very good. And like I said, I think as far as a dowsing rod session, I think it was great because he was sitting in a chair. He had it parallel. He had him steady.
We showed some answers where he wasn't getting any response. And what I will say from memory of, again, it's highlight reel stuff, right? Like you're seeing mostly the best of the investigation when he was in there. There was a lot of times where he was just sitting there, he was getting no answer, and the rods were just saying straight for a long time. So it wasn't like everything was getting answered, but when it was getting answers, it was pretty creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's worth a watch, guys. It's definitely worth a watch. They also had another device which I have never seen before, because it's been a minute since I've been into the paranormal world heavily as an investigator. There are tons of new equipment out there now. You'll have to kind of explain to me exactly what that was. It was like a laser beam with a grid.
Oh, yeah, the grid. If you really want to see that thing get used and have a big response, watch our Hinsdale House investigation. Because what that does, it's a grid, but it also detects temperature on it, and it'll show you a fluctuation in temperature in front of it, whether it's hot or cold, and it'll display it like it's it almost looks like a Tetris board in a way, but if you wave your hand in front of it, you'll see your hand and these red dots go across.
Really?
So for us, when we were in the Hinsdale house, this is the creepiest time we ever used it. We were in the living room there, and we were sitting on the couch, and we had that pointing across from us, and we just saw the half the outline of a body standing in front of it. Like half of it was in front of the sensor, and the other half was off of it.
Really?
But we got a lot of responses in the Hinsdale house on that. But yeah, that's what it does essentially. It reads temperature and like heat signature, and if it registers colder than the room, it'll show up blue, and if it's hotter, it'll show up red.
That is cool. I'm gonna have to get me one of those and start experimenting. I'm assuming it's not the cheapest.
No, and I think we need to get a new one, unfortunately.
Yeah. Man, I mean,
traveling with this equipment is not always the greatest.
Yeah, it's an expensive. Again, I don't want to say hobby, but it is an expensive endeavor, nonetheless.
Yeah.
So you guys had all this activity going on in your separate zones, your separate rooms, and then you guys all came back to the living room to finish it up. Could you tell me a little bit more about that as we get closer to wrapping?
Sure. We didn't plan to do the living room because it's sort of a area that you just don't hear about with the house. When you hear about the house, you hear about the Stillinger girl room, you hear about the kids room, you hear about the master bedroom, and you hear about the attic. And before I get into the living room, the one thing I want to point out before I forget to say this, that attic that Dave's in, the door to get in there is in the master bedroom. It's like a small closet door that you have to like sort of crouch to get into.
Oh, okay.
So it's attached right to the master bedroom. So when you hear people say that he was hiding, like if one of the locations that he is believed to have been hiding was in the attic, and you're like, well, how did he get down from the attic? It's because he didn't get down from the attic. He just walked a couple steps, opened the door, and if you open that door, you are 2 steps away from the bed.
Really?
So, yeah. So like, that's why like going to the house was completely different for me. Like it changed my perspective on so much, just actually being in there and seeing it and walking it myself. Cause like I said, I've seen pictures and everything, but you get that perspective where it's like, man, if he was hiding in the attic, that's even scarier, because they were just walking right by him to bring the kids to bed. They were sleeping 15 feet from him if he was hiding in that attic.
Yeah.
And he just crawled out.
And that's the thing too. We talked about in the previous part 1. The cigarette butts that was found. Also, the fact that so the family came home from church, so that would have been early evening, right? So that means he has been in this house the whole time.
Yep.
While they were all hanging out, having dinner, getting ready for bed, all the things, and then he stayed there waiting. And waiting. Yeah. And it's, I just looked at the time that we're recording, and it's like 51 minutes. So I realize that we're talking all about the investigation, but I do want to definitely touch on the serial killer element.
Sure. And
I am all but now a firm believer that this was a serial killing. I followed Dave's advice, and I listened. I say listened because I was listening to it on patrol. The Man from the Train. And I 100% believe that it was a serial killer.
Yeah.
Because of all the different murders that happened across the United States that were connected by rail, and they were all similar crimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I believe that as well. I've gone back and re-listened to The Man from the Train, and I still believe that theory. Like, to me, it makes the most sense. There was too much. This was too calculated for that to be anyone else that they suspected. But I also have poked some holes in some of the cases that they present in The Man from the Train. Not all of them. I think that there is a solid lineup there, but some of them I like raise my eyebrow down to. I'm like, I don't know if that really sounds like the other cases that we're talking about.
There are some, and I can't because there's so many.
Yeah.
There are some that I remember listening to in the car, again, while driving on patrol. I'm just listening to, and I heard, and I was like, well, that doesn't make any, that doesn't really connect.
Right.
And then, I'm trying to remember which one it was. I think there was one where he did leave the doors unlocked. Or something, and there wasn't anything over the mirrors. I forget which detail. But you can't really fault the authors on this, because they're looking at a case that was from 1912. Yeah. 1909 to like 1912. Okay, these different murders that happened. And it's not like the police did a wonderful investigation.
No, well, he was smart. I mean, if this was one guy, he was picking towns where they just didn't have the capability of, not that they had the resources that we have now, but they also he was targeting smaller towns where they definitely were not, equipped to handle this, where some of these towns still probably wouldn't be equipped to handle something like this, and they'd have to call in the state police or, the FBI or something.
But if they did, the police would have been more, nowadays, I think they'd be more equipped.
Yeah.
So,
they wouldn't let people
just
take stuff.
I got to defend, my job.
Well, it's different time, right?
Yeah, definitely different time. But there's a lot of things that were learned in this case. But yeah, I just, when we got so much into the paranormal side of it, I did want to get your point of view on it and see, because obviously in part 1 we talk a lot about the crime, and we talk a lot about the theories behind who did it, and just a little bit of the paranormal. This is not a true crime show, but this is the very first case that really involves true crime. Right. So, we have to do it right. We have to do it well. There is one element of the case that I did mention in part 1, but I'm not really going to talk too much about here. Because you guys really didn't even get anything related to it. But there's a terrible situation that happens with bacon.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is your first part listening, then just listen to part 1 and I'll go through it. But, I don't want to relive that. But the guy who did this was sick.
Yep.
He was a sick person. And it was completely unnecessary. But there was elements across other cases, though, where there was proof, there was elements of the crime that he stayed in the house for quite a while after the murders. So,
right.
Anyway, we'll go ahead and wrap that up. We're talking about the living room. I'm sorry, I realized we glazed all over that. We were talking about
Just
how
like
small the
painting.
house was, and then I just realized we never even continued to talk about what you guys got in the living room.
Right.
So,
yeah. Just to continue on that thing we were just talking about real quick. I mean, there's so many different suspects that they had throughout that. The one that people still point to is the Reverend. And it just doesn't, like, if you
It
watch
doesn't add up at
true
all.
crime, it doesn't add up at all. There was a confession, but like if you read the transcript from the confession, it's like definitely coerced from him, right? Like it was leading, incredibly leading. So I just don't think it doesn't make sense for like the type of man that he was.
No.
To
He was
do this crime.
pervert,
Sure.
maybe a child molester, maybe. Okay, you might have me there. But no, I don't think. And it's very believable that those officers probably beat the living hell out of him until he finally said that he did it.
Right.
So,
Right.
it was a bad time. It was a dark time.
Yeah.
So, now
Hey, but I'll give them credit. They did some good stuff in their investigation at this particular case.
Yeah.
The way they were able to like look at the blood from a shoe that got tipped over and sort of figure out the time of death and stuff like that is stuff that we just didn't see at that point in time, especially in a small town like Villisca. I mean, they let people trample all through the crime scene at the time, but it's kind of common for the day, man.
I mean, I have heard some things, like the guy who I guess took a piece of the skull of Josiah, but I don't know. I mean, it was different times, it was just a different time. And, I went through some crime scene, just the basics. We do have more of an advanced course that as ongoing training that they sometimes send officers to. I'm probably soon due to do that. But I took some basic crime scene investigation in the academy. And the biggest thing is you have to post somebody at the front door, and they have to record every person that walks into that place.
Yep.
It's not like the movies where the officers just walk underneath, even the detectives just walk underneath the tape and just walk over. No, they have to be documented. You have to show your badge. You got to show your your badge number. You have to be ID'd, and then they let you in.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that we do now that we learned over 100 years, to do better. So I do wish there was some evidence that would have been preserved, that we could have maybe tried to do some DNA stuff, kind of like with what they did with Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Now, that guy has not been confirmed, the killer, right?
Right.
But there is some DNA that points in the guy's direction. I'm not going to reveal his name here because I'm not really a true crime podcast, but also I don't want to feed into that, and there's no absolute proof. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just
sketchy
DNA
situation right now.
It's up for debate, but anyway, Speaking of true crime, this show is not true crime dedicated. However, there are many times where true crime and the paranormal mix.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a part of it. This is the first one that I've had to cover that's pretty gnarly,
Right.
The Limp Mansion, you had a lot of suicides in the house, but there wasn't it's not like somebody went around shooting everybody,
Right.
Amityville is going to be an interesting case to cover, put it that way.
Right.
But anyway, so back to the living room, because we have gone off 2 times now. What did you get in the living room?
Man, so this one is very fascinating because I think we were investigating the living room at like 3:30 in the morning, and this was our 3rd investigation in a row, like back to back to back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be honest, by that point we were all very tired, and we were like ready to, this was our last investigation, so we put our game faces on and we went in there. But we also were like, we did it for 2 reasons. One, we had already kind of done every other room in the house. And 2, we were like, nobody does the living room when they come here. Nobody investigates the living room. Everyone goes to the bedrooms, the attic, and everything, and which we did. But we're like, let's try the living room. And if we get nothing, we get nothing. That's fine. At least we can show that we went in here. We did an investigation in here. What we didn't expect, and what we didn't even remember until we were editing the footage, was how much activity we got in this location. Again, like I said, we did 3 locations in 3 nights. So as we were reviewing this footage, we were like, holy, we didn't, we got so much in here. And there's one thing that we got in this room that, like, my jaw dropped watching it when we reviewed it. And then I reviewed some of our footage before coming on your show, and my jaw dropped again. When I watched, I was like, that is insane. And we were using the spirit box in this room as well, and we were using the music box, and we were pointing it towards the Stillinger girls' room. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you remember this or whatever, but there was a point where I think it's the first time the music box goes off as it's pointed at the Stillinger girls' room, and me and Jesse react to that. But as that's happening, this voice comes through the speaker, and it's like very low and noticeable, and I can't remember exactly what it said, but Dave was the only one that caught it at the time, which is insane. And it, just watching it, like, I'm getting chills thinking about it. Like, but like, I watched it back, I'm like, holy shit. Like, me and Jesse were so focused on this room, and Dave hears it, and he's like, dude, you guys didn't hear that? And if you listen, it's really scary.
I'm trying to remember what it was, because I know that it was interesting, but it was right on cue too. Mm-hmm. If you guys watch the video, you're gonna know what we're talking about. But I think it was something along the lines like, I'm there now, or like he had just asked him, whoever was there, to move, or next to you or something. Yeah, I forget what it was.
That.
Yeah, it was over there, something along those lines. It's crazy because I just reviewed it today too. I literally watched it this morning. Anyway, there's so much to watch in that investigation. That, I mean, it's 50 minutes long, something like that. And I mean, it's better than anything any certain paranormal show put out. I won't reveal their name because I might get sued. There's a lot of paranormal shows that just don't put out that much content. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it was very simple, very credible. There wasn't a time that I was sitting there watching it and going, okay, wait, I think you guys are kind of faking that, or doing this or doing that. The reactions were very genuine. And overall, though, like I said, you guys were respectful. I didn't see any time where you guys were like being disrespectful. Yeah.
95% of the time we try to be respectful to the spirits within a place. Now, if we're interacting with something like I was in the closet, I was probably not super respectful, but that entity, whatever it is, I don't think deserves respect. Right?
It's a little bit different whenever that's coming on to you like that.
Right. Yeah. So, or if it's somebody was not a great person in life, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, we'll see how that interaction goes, but 95% of the time we're trying to be as respectful with this, especially until we identify it as well, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big key there, kind of figuring out what you're dealing with. But I have seen videos where, especially teenagers, they film themselves going to these places, and even Villisca. I'm leaving that in, guys. We don't really do editing around here when we're doing guests, so that's it. Villisca. Even in Villisca, where they have they'd have teenagers basically going, "What was it like to feel your head getting beaten in?" and all that type of stuff. That's what I mean by disrespect. Yeah. It's important to remember that these were real people that really did pass away tragically, and not only that, I mean, yeah, a terrible thing happened on June 10th, 1912, but for that family, for the Moore family, I mean, they lived a life before that. That house was filled with Christmases and Thanksgivings, and it was a normal home. So, and a lot of people forget that. And I think you guys did a very good job of just sticking with it, treating it as it was, and being respectful.
Oh,
and I
thank you.
like that. So
yeah, it's very important to do that. And as far as like getting the activity that we got that night, that we were fortunate to get that activity. We have 6 or 7 investigations that you'll never see because we got nothing, and we're not gonna, and I know people say, like, 'cause some of our listeners will be like, we still want to see the ones where you get no activity. And it's like, you don't. Like, you're gonna see nothing. So
you're gonna see a bunch of guys just walking around,
right,
talking to nothing,
right.
Yeah, that's a big reason why in the future I do want to do investigations. I do want to bring my audience involved into it. But I have made the decision that if I do, I'm not going to be like, hey guys, hey, we're going to be doing this in a few weeks. I promise, come do this thing. Because then it's like, okay, well, what if we do that and nothing happens,
Yeah.
And then I don't have anything to show. But, if I capture something, then there'll definitely be like a case episode on it, and then I get to show it.
Right.
So, but anyway, yeah, like I said, I nothing but compliments for you guys. I think you guys did a very good investigation, and it was beautifully edited and put together too. So,
Thank you.
I like that. Well, wrapping it up, after the investigation, did you have anything that seemed to linger? Like any feelings at all, or did it seem like anything kind of followed you, or
tiredness? We were real tired after this one. Now, that sick feeling stopped like 10, 20 minutes after I was done with my investigation. That didn't linger at all. By the time we were doing the group investigation, I was good again. I don't think I went back into the Stillinger girls' room, though, after my investigation. I think I sort of stayed away from it. Yeah. I didn't want that to come back. But after we left, it didn't feel like anything followed us by any means from there.
Yeah, I guess another reason why I'm asking is because you guys did you had multiple investigations back to back to back. You did the Sally House, you did Villisca, and you did what other place?
Malvern Manor.
That one. So that's the reason why I was asking, because I definitely know the Sally House. I have a friend who investigated there, and he's fairly credible. And he's a lot like Dave, and he was having like dreams and stuff like weeks after visiting the Sally House.
Yeah.
So it is a thing where it can happen. So I figured I'd ask you, considering you seem like the sensitive of the team.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't think I've luckily, knock on wood, haven't had anything follow us. These investigations we do when we book something, we're trying to make, as much, bang for our buck as we travel. And we did those 3 locations in that night, and we just went to Europe a couple months ago. And, every day we had a different location to not always investigate, but go to. We had 2 investigations in Europe, but it was on the move. So we do try to, hit as many places as we actually can when we do these trips and get as many investigations in as we can. It's a blast, but it is, it can get tiring, and it might and I say all that because it might lend you to open yourself to something. So
and not be able to close off,
Right.
So, kind of a plug for Hometown Ghost Stories. At this point, I think during this episode, I've said Hometown Ghost Stories more than I've ever said Crypt Walkers. Where can our listeners find you whenever they're not listening to Crypt Walkers?
Yeah, you can find us on any podcast platform that you listen to. Just look for Hometown Ghost Stories. If you search for Hometown Ghost Stories on any of your social media accounts, you'll find us as well. And if you're really interested in being part of the show, we do our main shows every Tuesday night, live at 9 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook. They're broadcast live. You can be part of the chat. You can watch with everybody. It's a big community. Everybody hangs out. And if you're looking for a place to go talk about ghosts, you can find our Discord. Join the Hometown Ghost Stories Discord, where tons of people are sharing their personal experiences and just sort of hanging out sometimes.
That's cool. My little brother knows Discord.
Yeah.
Me, not so much. I've tried.
It's a message board, man. Once you figure it out, you figure it out. But it's a message board with channels, basically.
Yeah, essentially. He tried to describe it to me. He's like, dude, it's like you have a radio in your patrol car, right? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, it's got channels, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, this is where you could just text message across those channels. Right. I'm like, okay, but trust me, you guys have to bear with me. This is a one-man band show. Everything is done by me, and so I am learning as I go. So, I just, huge thanks to you, Rob, for coming out, for joining me, for taking this walk through our little crypt yard and exploring this case. So it has been a blast.
No problem.
And I highly recommend.
If any of you do go to Villisca, I have 2 suggestions. You can go visit the graves of the Moores and the Stillinger girls. It's really close to the actual house, to go pay your respects there. And if you book the house, make sure you book the entire house. I don't know if they're still doing it, but I think they were trying to experiment with booking out particular rooms in the house to different people on the same night. It's too small.
That's too small. Yeah.
Book the whole house if you're going to book it for the night, or just go take a day tour if you're not interested in investigating it. But it's a hell of a location to go see.
Okay. Yeah. I did. Wow. Really? They're trying to. That doesn't make no sense.
Well, it makes sense from the aspect of it's the same owner as the Lizzie Borden house. And that's something you can do at the Lizzie Borden house because there's different rooms and different bedrooms and stuff. So it's sort of like a bed and breakfast thing. This place is just a little too small, in my opinion, to do that.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting me know, because that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
To get there and be like, who the heck are you people?
Right.
Right. Oh, no, you only get this one room. Oh, okay. Great.
Don't want that.
But yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Guys, be sure to subscribe to Hometown Ghost Stories on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And for more Crypt Walkers, follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you have any real encounter for the listener files, you can email it to contact@cryptwalkers.net with the subject line, My Story. Do both of our shows a massive favor before you leave. Subscribe, leave a review, and of course, share this episode. Thanks for listening, and until next time, Ryder out.
Next time on Crypt Walkers.
The Missouri State Penitentiary officially closed on September 15th, 2004. On that day, over 1,300 inmates were transferred to the newly constructed Jefferson City Correctional Center. Prior to its closure, the 168-year-old facility was the oldest continually operating prison west of the Mississippi. It wasn't long after the steel doors slammed shut for the final time that the prison's reputation as the bloodiest 47 acres in America transformed from a historical fact into a haunting reality. A fortress defined by a volatile, negative human energy during its century in operation has now become a laboratory for high-intensity paranormal activity today. In our next file, join me as we cross the threshold to explore the residual echoes and and the haunted clues left behind in the dark corridors of this castle-like prison. Case 14, the Missouri State Penitentiary, airs Wednesday, July 1st, wherever you get your podcasts.